so far is basically every type of solving equation that we can do, right? We have solved every possible type of equation we could basically solve, including absolute value equations. And then yesterday, we also did literal equations where a lot of our terms are variables, right? And we just used our inverse operations to solve for a specific variable. So what we're going to do today is they're going to give us a scenario, and we're going to create an equation based on that scenario, and then we're going to solve it. So they're not going to give us the equations to start with. We have to create the equations. Yes?
All right, so this ain't the one that's all letters. It's like an actual equation.
It's going to have some numbers today. Okay? So, yeah. So the thing is, we have to create the equation based on the problem that they gave us. So like number one, let's just dig in. So you're comparing two numbers here on number one. It says the larger of two numbers is 4 more than the smaller number. If the sum of the numbers is 74, find the numbers. So how many numbers do we have?
The larger of two numbers.
Two numbers, right? So it's talking about two numbers, okay? But how many, if we want to solve a variable to get a specific number, how many variables do we need? We want only one variable, right? Because if I have an x and y, or however many different variables, it's kind of hard to solve for a specific number if I have more than one variable. So let's just write, we're going to label our variables. We're going to have a larger number. If I write the little hashtag symbol, y'all know that means number, right? And the smaller number. So we got to assign some variables. All right, so we're going to use some clue words here. The larger of the two numbers is 4 more than the smaller number. So if we call that smaller number x, how can we write an expression with x that means 4 more than the smaller number? Not 4 times x. 4 plus x, right? If it's 4 more than x, that means it's x plus 4, right? So I'm going to simplify that to x plus 4. So those are my two numbers, x and x plus 4. Okay? The smaller one is just x. I add 4 to that, I get the larger number. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So now we're going to write an equation based on that. It says the sum of those numbers. What does sum mean? I add them together and I get 74. Find the numbers. Okay? So the smaller number plus the larger number equals 74. Right? Right? So let's fill it in. What did we say the smaller number was? X plus what's the larger number? It's not 4. X plus 4 equals 74. There's our equation to solve. Y'all see that? Smaller plus larger equals the sum. All right, like terms, right? What's x plus x? 2x plus 4 equals 74. Now, how do we solve that for x? Subtract 4. So 2x equals 70. Then what? Divide by 2, and x equals 35. Now, which one is x? The larger or the smaller number? Smaller number. Label, label, label. So how do I get the larger number? X plus 4. So I'm going to say 35 plus 4 is 39. So the larger number is 39. Please label, label, label. And we did it. And we can check it. How can I check it? Yeah, if I add those together, I better get 74, do I? Yes. So you're going to assign variables and label, solve your equation and label your answers. Okay? Assign variables, label your work, solve it. Set up your equation and solve it. All right, so number 2. Let's do another one together. They're going to get a little more complicated. So again, we're going to have a larger number and a smaller number. I'm just going to write smaller and larger if that's okay. It says the larger of two numbers is 7 less than 3 times the smaller number. Y'all think I want to make x my larger or my smaller? The larger is 7 less than 3 times the smaller. X be smaller. I agree. All right. Now to get my larger, it says the larger is 7 less than 3 times the smaller. Well, my smaller one's called x, right? So what's 3 times x? 3x. And what's 7 less than that? Minus 7. Very good. So y'all get why x is the smaller and 3x minus 7 is the larger? And then it says the sum. So sum means I'm going to do what? Add these two together and set it equal to what? 61. So write the equation. X plus 3x minus 7 equals 61. And then we can solve it. Do it. No, combine like terms. Check to yourself. Give me a thumbs up when you get your X and it looks like my X. So we got X equals what? 17. Did everybody get that? All right. So X is the what? Smaller number. So make sure you label that with your answer. How are we going to get the larger one? Yeah, the larger one is 3x minus 7. And I know x is now 17. So to get the larger one, I say 3 times 17 minus 7. Does anybody know what 3 times 17 is? 51 minus 7 is how much? 1 minus 7 would be 44, right? 44, and that's the larger one. How could you check it? Or even quicker, just add those two numbers and see if it equals what? 61, does it? Yeah. All right, good job. Why don't y'all try number 3? Yes. Try it with your group. Label, label. Label the larger, label the smaller. Label your variables, write an equation, solve it, find both numbers. Let me know if you get stuck. The larger is one more than 4 times. 4 times would be 4x. So one more than, and then you add on. So 4x plus 1. Yep, x is small. Good. So your brain hadn't hurt. We only done 30 problems. Easiest one. Well, it's in there. Okay, so y'all help me out. We got a larger number and a smaller number. It says the larger of two numbers is one more than 4 times a smaller number. So which one do we call our small? Which one do we call x? Smaller. One more than, that means I add 1, right? 4 times means 4x, right? So that the larger is 4x plus 1, or you could have said 1 plus 4x. Okay with that? And it says the sum of them equals 106. So how do I set up my equation? Yeah, smaller plus larger equals 106. Did everybody set it up like that? Then what do? Like terms, which is, sorry. I don't know why I said that. 5x plus 1 equals 106. 5x equals 105. Divide by 5. X equals 21. And that's what number? Raise your hand if you got 21 for your smaller number. Because if we don't get x right, we're not going to get the larger number right either. Right? So, to get the larger number, we plug that in for that x, which is 4 times x plus 1. So 4 times 21 plus 1. What's 4 times 21? 84 plus 1 is 85 is the larger. Raise your hand if you and your group got 21 and 85. How do we get good at these, y'all? Yeah, we practice a little bit. Okay, y'all look at number 4. It's a little bit different. All right. So again, on number 4, they are comparing a larger number and a smaller number. So I'm going to write those again. Label, label, label. It says the larger of two numbers is twice the smaller number. What does twice mean? Yeah, if you do something twice, you do it 2 times, right? And 2 times is in math is literally 2 times. Okay? So the larger one, we're going to call it 2x. And we're going to call the smaller one just x. All right. Now what happens is next is a little bit different. If 12 is subtracted from the larger number, so that's the larger number, right? The result is 7 more than the smaller number. So the result is means equals, right? That means equals, doesn't it? Okay. So if 12 is subtracted from the larger number, what does that mean? 2x minus 12, because 2x is my larger number, right? The result is means equals 7 more than the smaller number is what? 7 plus x or x plus 7. Okay? Y'all see how I set up that equation? So you're looking for a clue word that means equals. Is means equals. The result is equals. The solution is means equals. Okay? Got it? So that'll tell you how to divide it up. All right. So any questions on how we wrote this equation? All right. Solve for x. So how do we solve for x? Subtract 1x. 2x minus x is what? Minus 12 equals 7. And then what? Okay. So x is going to be 17 plus 12, which is? Try again. I miscopied, right? Sorry, I miscopied. So x is 19, and that's the smaller number, isn't it? How do I get the larger number? 2 times x, right? So 2 times 19 is 38 is my larger number. All right. So you've got to actually read the problem.
And so, it was plug it back into the 12x minus 2x minus 12 is
Yeah. Okay, let's try number 5. Can we stop the talking? Can we stop the talking in between my problems, please? All right. Number 5. Here we go. The highest score on an Algebra 1 test. We're not eating in my classroom. Put it away. Oh, sorry. You got pencils. Okay. It's just loud. That's why I need to get pencils before class. The highest scores on the algebra test was 42 points than the lowest test. So what are we comparing here? A highest score and a lowest. Thank you. Those are my two numbers. A highest and a lowest score on an algebra test. All right. So the highest score is 42 more than the lowest. So what do you think we're going to call the lowest? And what do you think we're going to call the highest? Very good. More than means we add. Does that make sense of why I'm calling the highest and the lowest those things? Okay. When added together, hint, hint, the lowest and the highest score was 154. Find both scores. So how do we write an equation like that? Very good. Y'all see that? When added together, the lowest and highest score was 54. So that means their total sum is 154. Y'all see that? You have to read. And then set it up. So it's using multiple parts of your brain at once in these problems. Okay? Your math brain and your English brain. All right. So, like terms, x plus x is 2x plus 42 equals 154. How do I solve for x now? Subtract 42. 2x equals 112. Divide by 2. X equals 56. And that's the lowest score, isn't it? I hope so. Because that's not a good grade. So how do I get the highest score? Very good. You plug it in. And what is 56 plus 42? 98 is the highest. That sounds about right. For test grades. And you can check them by adding those two numbers and see if it equals 154. And I believe it does. All right, flip to the next problem on the back. All right. Let's see if we can do that without talking in between problems from now on. It's getting old. It wastes time. All right. Talk about a little bit of money here. Garrett has $1 less than 3 times as much as Liz has. So we're comparing how much Garrett has and how much Liz has, right? Y'all with me? Label, label. All right. Garrett has $1 less than 3 times as much as Liz has. So I'm going to call what Liz has X. So what am I going to call what Garrett has then?
3x minus 1.
Yes, 3x minus 1, because less means take away, right? You understand how I got 3x minus 1 for Garrett? Okay, it's called a verbal expression. All right, together they have $179. So how do I set an equation like that? Very good. Together means you add them together, basically. Right? Then we do what? Like terms. 4x minus 1 equals 179. Add 1. 4x equals 180. Divide by 4. X equals what?
41.
Very good. And that's dollars, isn't it? Yeah, if we're talking about money, we put dollar signs. Y'all, where does the dollar sign go? Before or after the number? Okay, I know we say dollars after the number, but we put the symbol in front. So that's how much who has? Liz has $45. So we want to know, the final question wanted to know how much Garrett has. So for Garrett, we say 3 times 45 minus 1. All right. What's 3 times 45? It is. Minus 1 is 134 is how much Garrett has. How can we check it? And it better equal 179, and it does. Okay. I just love these. All right, let's do number 7. The Buffalo Bills scored 24 more than twice the number of points that the Miami Dolphins scored. Okay. So we have got the Buffalo Bills. I'm just going to say Bills and the Dolphins. I cannot spell Dolphins. It's a PH. I did. Okay. So let's set up some expressions. The Buffalo Bills scored 24 more than twice the number of points that the Dolphins scored. So which one am I calling X? The Dolphins. So what am I calling the Bills? Yes, very good. Twice means 2 times. More means you add. So are y'all okay with that? And together they scored how much? 66 points. It's a pretty low scoring game then. 2x plus 24 plus 66. Nope, I did not do that right. X plus 2x plus 24 equals 66. So any questions about how I set up that equation? All right, y'all finish it out. All right, so I'm going to solve it real quick. I got 3x plus 24 equals 66. I subtract 24 on both sides and get what? 42. Divide by 3 and x equals 14. And that's how much, who scored? The Dolphins scored, I can spell Dolphins, 14 points, which is possible in football for sure, right? There's some scores that are not possible in football. And then 2 times 14 plus 24 is 28 plus 24, which is how much? 52 points for the Bills. Points. All right, raise your hands if you got 14 and 52. Are there any questions about that one? Okay. Now y'all pay it, huh? Nah. All right. As long as you label it with something, right? All right. So this one I think is the hardest problem on this whole lesson. I don't know. I think this is the hardest one. Out of all of them we're going to do today, I think this one's the hardest. Okay, so I'm just going to warn you. So if you get a little about this Skittles problem, it's okay, because I think it's the hardest. All right? So let's just set it up. So first of all, what two things are we talking about here? Red Skittles and orange Skittles. Makes it a little bit better that it's about candy. Yep. All right. There are 10 less red Skittles than orange Skittles in the bag. Okay. So how do you think we're going to... Is red and orange is what? Just X. Do y'all agree with that? Okay. Now the problem is the confusion is where the equation comes in. The orange Skittles are also twice the number of red Skittles. So, find the number of red and orange Skittles in the bag. So what they have done is they have told us two things about orange Skittles, right? But what I know about the orange Skittles are, if I just have one bag of Skittles, the amount of orange Skittles I have is the same no matter if I call it twice red or just X, right? 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 Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the orange amount, one orange amount they tell you, and set it equal to the other orange amount they tell you. Orange equals orange. Close. All right. The orange Skittles are also, so first we're saying orange equals what? X. And second of all, I'm saying orange are also twice the number of red. Well, what are we calling red? So what does twice X minus 10 mean?
2x minus 10.
Well, 2 times the quantity X minus 10. 2 times all of it. So, y'all see that? X represents orange, and also double the red also means orange. Does that make sense? So I set the two values that both represent orange equal to each other. Because they didn't tell me together orange and red make 52 Skittles. They didn't do that. Okay? So this is red. 2 times red equals orange, and X equals orange. Does that make sense? All right, so now I solve the equation like that. X equals 2 times X is 2X. 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. I'm going to subtract that 2X on both sides together. What's X minus 2X? Negative X equals negative 20. And how do I get X by itself? Divide by negative 1. And X equals 20. So X is how many, what kind of Skittles? Orange Skittles. So I have 20 orange Skittles. How do I find how many red Skittles? Yeah, it's X minus 10. So 20 minus 10 is 10 red Skittles. So if I double orange, if I double red, do I get orange? Because I did say that. Twice the number of red. Yeah. Yeah. To me, just knowing to set up orange equals orange is the hardest confusing thing. Yes. I did eventually. But I had to set up and solve an equation because that's the purpose of the lesson. The purpose of the lesson is not just plug in random numbers and see which one works. You do that on your quiz tomorrow, I will count off all your points because you did not follow directions. Even if it's right. All right. Let's talk about perimeter of a rectangle because I know you have one like this on your quiz tomorrow. Okay. All right. Number 9 says the length of a rectangle is 6 inches more than the width. Okay. The perimeter of a rectangle is 24 inches. Find its dimensions. Okay, first of all, we're talking about length and width. Y'all with me? And universally, a capital L talks about the length of a rectangle. So that's why I'm just using cursive L. All right, so let's assign variables. The length of a rectangle is 6 inches more than its width. So going back to what we're doing, we're going to call the width x. What do you think we're going to call the length? X plus 6. Y'all agree? All right, now it's talking about a perimeter. Now, don't perimeters of rectangles have their own special formula? What's the formula for perimeter of a rectangle? P equals what? Yes, simplify that. What do you get? 2L plus 2W equals the perimeter, right? Right? You should have seen that before. You got two lengths, you got two widths, you got them all together, right? Combine like terms, 2 lengths plus 2 widths equals a perimeter. All right. So plug these in. Keep your 2's. They're part of the formula. So 2 times, what do we call an L? X plus 6 plus 2 times, what do we call in the width? X equals, did they tell us a perimeter? 24. Y'all see that? The 2's are part of the formula. You got to keep them there. You plug in what you say is L, and you plug in what you say is W. Okay? Then what do I have to do with that 2 times X plus 6? Distribute, yes. So 2 times X is 2 times 6, 12, and 2X is just plain 2X, right? Equals 24. Now what? Like terms. 2X plus 2X is plus 12 equals 24. Then what? Subtract 12. 4x equals 12. That's ugly 12. And then divide by 4. And x equals 3, which is the width. Did it say anything about units? Inches, right? 3 inches is the width. So if it gives you units for your rectangles, make sure you include that in your answer. I always say word problems need words with their answers. Okay? Word problems need words with their answers. Now how do we get the length? 3 inches plus 6 inches, so the length is 9 inches. No, you plug it in over here. Yeah, which is simpler. All right. Y'all try number 10. It's not on my screen, but y'all try number 10. I'm going to try it as well. Two X. You will have to distribute. right, so on number 10, you have your length and your width. What did you call the width? What did you call the length? Did everybody do that? What's the formula for perimeter of a rectangle? Equals the perimeter, right? So 2 times what goes in for L plus 2 times what goes in for W equals, what do we plug in for P? 90. Did everybody set up an equation like that? All right, so distribute. 2 times 4x is, 2 times 5 is, 10 plus 2x equals 90. Then I do what? Like terms. Sorry, 10x plus 10 equals 90. Subtract 10. 10x equals 80. Divide by 10, and x equals 8 inches, which is the what? Width. And then how do I get the length? 4 times 8 plus 5. 32 plus 5 is 37 inches for the length. Raise your hand if you and your group got that. All right, good. I think you have one like that on your quiz tomorrow. All right, the next thing we need to talk about is consecutive integers. So turn to this page, the part where you see that. I think it's the middle of the next page. All right, let's talk about what a consecutive number is. Does anybody know what a consecutive number is? It's numbers. Exactly. Consecutive numbers are numbers and the numbers that immediately follow it. So like 3, 4, 5 are consecutive numbers, right? Like 49, 50, 51 are consecutive numbers, right? So consecutive numbers means numbers that directly follow each other. I need to write with bolder, sorry. I can't spell either. Numbers that directly follow the next number. I don't mean the previous number, I should say. Sorry for my sloppiness. All right. So, for example, consecutive numbers, let's do 6, 7, 8. Okay, there's an example. Now, how are you getting from one number to the next if you have consecutive numbers? You're adding 1, right? So if we call the first number x, the next number is x plus 1, right? And if the first number is x, the third number is x plus 2, right? And then the fourth number would be x plus 3, and they would go on like that, right? Does that make sense? Because you're adding 1 every time. Well, let's talk about consecutive even numbers. What are even numbers? Yes, they're numbers that are divisible by 2, or they end in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, right? Okay, so an example of consecutive even numbers would be like 12, 14, and 16. Right? Now, what are even numbers going up by every time? 2. So if the first one is x, the next one is x plus 2. The third one is x plus 4. Very good. And then x plus 6, and then they keep on going forever. Y'all know that dot, dot, dot means it keeps going, right? Okay. Consecutive odd numbers. So odd numbers are numbers that are not even, right? So they're numbers that end in 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. So like, let's do 23, 25, 27. Yep. And what do odd numbers go up by every time?
2.
They go up by 2 just like evens do. Y'all agree? Yeah. So x plus 2, then x plus 4, and then x plus 6. Now, odds and evens work the exact same way. You're just starting with an odd if it's odds, and you're starting with an even if it's even. Okay. So now we're going to use this information to help us set up and solve equations to find some numbers. So let's look at number 14. The sum of two consecutive numbers is 123. So I need how many consecutive numbers? 2. We don't know what they are. So we'll call the first one x and the second one what? X plus 1, because it says consecutive numbers. So if they're just consecutive numbers, not even or odd, the first number is x, the second number is that number plus 1. Does that make sense? And together they make 123. Okay? Then you just solve that equation. Combine your like terms. What's x plus x? 2x plus 1 equals 123. How do I solve for x? Subtract 1, and 2x equals 122. Divide by 2. X equals 16. Y'all agree? All right, so that's your first number, right? How do I get the second number? I add 1. So first number is 61, the second number is 62. And you can just write them with a comma between if you want to. And you can check it. Is 61 plus 62 equal to 123? You are not just going to plug in random numbers and see if they add to make 123. That's not showing your work, and that's not setting up the equation, which is what the point of this lesson is. Okay? If I don't see you write an equation, you're not following directions. Got it? Got it? So if it says two consecutive numbers, you're going to use x and x plus 1 equals to whatever it says their sum is. All right? If it says consecutive even or odd, you're going to use x and x plus 2. Okay? So it's pretty simple once you get the pattern. Skip down to number 16, please. Okay, 16. So we're going to skip 15. It says find two consecutive even numbers whose sum is 54. So how many numbers do you need? 2. You need the first number and the second number. So what will we call the first number? X. And since they're even, what do we call the second number? X plus 2 equals what the sum's supposed to be? 4. So any questions on how we set that up? So this really is pretty simple. So what's x plus x? Plus 2 equals 54. Subtract 2. 2x is 52. Divide by 2. And x equals 26. First of all, is 26 even? It better be, okay? If not, you've messed up something. So if 26 is the first even number, what's the second even number? 28. How do you check it? Add them. Do they equal 54? Is this making sense? All right. Y'all try number 17. Same thing, but it's wanting odds. And you do odds just like evens.
Wait, what?
You do odds just like evens. It's x and x plus 2.
128 is not odd.
It says their sum is that. Read the problem. Nope, you need help. When you finish, you should have 2 odd numbers. I need how many odd numbers? 2. So a first and a second. So what do we call the first one? And what do we call the second one? Because odd numbers go up by 2. And I said add them together and set them equal to 28. 1x plus 1x is 2x plus 2 equals 128. Add 2 equals 126. Divide by 2. I think it's more room. X equals 63 is my first odd number. What's the next odd number?
65.
Raise your hand if you got 63 and 65. Good job. So that's it. If it says consecutive, you do x and x plus 1 and x plus 2. If it says consecutive even, you do x, x plus 2, x plus 4. Or odd is the same thing. Let's do the next one, number 18. How many numbers does it want on 18?
3.
So you got your first number, your second number, and your third number. So that means you just do it one more time. Okay? So if it wants 3 of them, you just do it one more time. So what are we going to call the first number? The second number?
X plus 2.
Because these are even, good. And then what are we going to call the third one?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. Because it goes up 2 more from the previous. Does everybody understand that one? Add them together and set it equal to what? 138. So if it says 3 of them, you need a first, second, and third number. Does that make sense? So now when you combine like terms, you got 3 x's, right? 1x plus 1x plus 1x is 3x. And then 2 plus 4 is 6 equals 138. Then what? Divide by 3. X will be 4. All right. Now this is supposed to be even. So did I get an even? All right. So that's my first even number. I need 3 of them. What's my next even number? And what's the next one? How do I check my answer? Add them together and I should get 138. Let me see here. That makes 14 plus 4. It's going to end in an 8 anyway. Right? So I think I'm good. How do we get good at these, y'all? Practice. So we're going to call this the end of notes. The next one you'll do the same thing for odd. If it's consecutive numbers, you're going to do x and x plus 1. Da-da-da-da. You're good. Have a good day.